I think I was born a fashionista. I'm harking back to one of the earliest photographs of me in West Texas, and I presume my mother created this fashionista because I'm totally dressed up in a cap and knickers and boots. I watched my mother sew and make her own clothes, and she made our clothes, my sisters and I. So I knew clothing, but I didn't even know what the art world was. This is West Texas. All I knew in my younger years was Walt Disney. I went all the way through high school with never having any kind of art class. So I wasn't able to study art until I was in junior college. That's when I got a job working at a fashion store, dressing their windows, and then doing some drawings. That's when I discovered Neiman Marcus and the world of fashion illustration. I think the biggest thrill ever was probably the first ad that showed up in the Dallas Morning News with Neiman Marcus. When you become an artist, it's not just for yourself. It's not just for your self-gratification. You do want your work to be seen. And to have my work appear in the paper every day and later on in my career with my name on it, it was thrilling.
Fashion illustration is like reading a book. When you read a book, your imagination works a lot. And for the readers, it also brings more freedom in the way they can imagine fashion. Fashion photography is more linked with movie. When you look at a movie, in a certain way, your imagination works less. Today, the only way you invest so much money is into fashion photography. But at that time, it's in the 70s and 80s, it was put into fashion illustration. It was a huge investment for a department store, and fashion illustration was seen as important. You have to imagine Jim Howard working in the studio of Neiman Marcus in Dallas, almost like if you remember the series Mad Men. It's exactly this, There are photos where you see him surrounded by his colleague in a studio inventing beautiful drawings.
Women mainly have said to me that they preferred a drawing to a photograph because they could envision themselves in the garment rather than this actual famous movie star or model in the clothes. Whether it was jeans and sweatshirts or haute couture, giving a garment a life through the person, that was the real challenge. You would think the thrill would be the big ball gown, but not necessarily. It could be just, the guy or the girl on the beach just hanging out. You still have to draw it. You still find a soul in it.
He is really building the whole illustration with a real person. And it brings a lot of life, a lot of realism, a lot of spontaneity. For example, this girl who is with her little dog, very cute, and she's in front of the department store. Perhaps she's doing some shopping. The way he shows this girl is like he has surprised her, while she was walking her dog, but also she has a very nice posture, and she's in the street posing like a model while she's walking her dog.
A lot of it was unintentional, and I guess part of me, I liked the story. Maybe that's sort of the theatrical side of me too, because I have always been a lover of film and theater and had those ambitions, so I understand if you're on stage, part of it is being able to listen and pay attention. And I think maybe that kind of spilled over in my illustration. I don't know. They think it's some special technique to put it on the paper, but it's not. It's just look at it and draw it.
Jim has really invented a style which is absolutely unique. It's about this idea of bringing the light as one of the main components of the composition of the drawing. It brings this idea that these models, so beautiful, are almost on a stage. It brings a lot of dramatic effect on the whole drawing.
My style had a lot of lighting, a lot of atmosphere. The theatrical lighting was a real accident. I think it's something I would never have thought of doing myself. But when Bonwit Teller came to me wanting me to create a style that had not quite been seen, we passed by a little painting that I had done. It was like a self-portrait of me looking out the window of my apartment, and the street lights were coming up, and it gave it a very kind of uplighting from below. And it kind of stuck. It became something that I used frequently. I think probably one of the favorite drawings I did was because it was so remarkable how it was going to appear in the New York Times. It was going to be 2 full pages of my favorite model at that time, reclining across the pages in a Missoni gown with that theatrical lighting, and it was sort of the culmination of everything I did for Bonwit Teller, and I guess my exposure in New York. Then I drew for different stores all over the country, and ended kind of sadly with Bullock's in Los Angeles, because Bullock's was bought by Macy's, who was using photography, and that was sort of the beginning of the end as far as my illustration career was concerned. My first paper doll book was Jim Howard Fashion Illustration Paper Doll Book, and I thought that was going to be it. But then recently I've done a series of what are called couture, and I design and illustrate different eras of fashion. So I still have my fashion chops at work with paper doll books.
Today, the style of Jim Howard is studied in fashion schools, in fashion university in the US. He's a figure of the whole history of fashion illustration.
I never dreamt I would have success. Total surprise. I didn't do it for success. I did it because I loved it. I'm the luckiest person on this planet that I was able to do what I really love. I love drawing, and I love drawing fashion. That's it.